Obviously, you had that great result last weekend, sitting at the top of the table. How do you kind of approach each game now? Have you got to just keep the players on that same mindset, the same level, and not get carried away with that?
Yeah, look, I haven't had the need to sort of do that or sort of think about that because, the behaviour of the players hasn't really changed. Even sort of preceding last week, I've said all along, we kind of know what our process is and what we need to do every week. Every game's a different challenge. Every game, has a bit of edge to it, particularly when you get to the end of the season. So, I've sort of said the last couple of weeks that for me the indicator is training, and we've got everyone training well. It's super competitive. They all want to play. Any thoughts other than them preparing themselves to the best of their ability to be ready for the game tomorrow, I haven't seen anything other than that.
You say you've got everyone fit and everyone training. I think a lot of the fans got excited last week when you said that 𝙁𝙤𝙧𝙚 was fit. Is he ready now to play and maybe make an appearance tomorrow?
Yeah, no, he was fit last week. Like I said, I just in the end, it was kind of a judgment call on my behalf to sort of maybe be a little bit conservative with him. But he's trained all week. I was keen on him to have a full week of training. Yeah, he's right to go. He'll be involved tomorrow, 100%. He'll be part of the squad.
James Forrest.
Yeah, James probably another week. We're hoping. He's got closer, but he's the only one that's not really available for tomorrow.
And you mentioned the training levels there, and just how much the springs in the step of the players. Would it be fair to say that you're heading into your most important stretch of the season with your squad in arguably the best shape it's been?
It's not arguably, it is. Yeah, absolutely. I said last week, I think, this is the healthiest we've been all year in terms of players available in good condition and ready to play. That's great for us because, as I said, it maintains our training levels, maintains the boys' focus every day. So, from that perspective, we're in good shape. Obviously, the January window was an important one for us in terms of just it allowed us to bolster up the squad, but also allowed us to, share some game time and get some guys back like, 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚, Dave Turnbull, others, without having to rush them. And as I said, for the final stretch, we're in good shape.
Just a word on 𝙢𝙚𝙚𝙚𝙚 as well, Player of the Month for March, and I suppose really stepped up in the absence of 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 that month. How important is he, and how important will he be as well in this run-in?
They're all important. I think what you've seen in our season so far is that, whenever we needed people to step up and take the opportunity, they've done that. Earlier in the year it was different players. Now it's, different ones stepping up. The one undeniable fact is that it's been a collective effort. We haven't had to rely on one person, to an extent where, missing them meant that our form dipped. Jacko had a great month for sure, but, others had great months before that. And, leading into this final bit, like I said, the key will be that, we've got a really good, strong, healthy squad, and they're all wanting to play, and the contributions will come from everyone.
Just going back to the game last weekend, obviously you got the win. There was a lot of focus on it. You're now 6 points clear at the top. Is it difficult when you factor all that into it to keep the boys focused on the next challenge that is St Johnstone? Because in some instances, perhaps there might be some players that subliminally even might have a kind of job done mentality.
Well, if subliminally they're feeling that way, they won't play on Saturday because they'll stand out in training. Like I said, I've got 24, 25 guys who are desperate to play, desperate to be involved, desperately wanting to contribute. So you can't roll up to this training and be thinking about anything else or thinking about any job done, irrespective of who you are. The training won't allow it. The players themselves won't allow it. They're pushing the limits every day. I've consistently said we want to be playing our best football at this time of the year, irrespective of who we're up against, and that's our aim and that's our ambition. And like I said, if any kind of that sort of thinking creeps into anybody, they'll get left behind, and they'll really stand out in this group, in this environment. And at this point in time, no one is doing that.
Just in terms of St Johnstone, what kind of challenge are you expecting from them? They've picked up a bit, fighting for their lives at the bottom, but they have picked up a bit over the last few weeks.
Yeah, and our last few games have been against similar type opponents. We played Livingston in good form, Ross County in good form. As you said, St Johnstone are in good form. Every game is a challenge, but you can't discount the fact that we're in good form. So, that's where our focus lies, is that we just keep making sure that every game day we bring out the best of ourselves, play our football, set the tone and tempo. We're at home. We need to be strong. They're fighting for their lives. We're fighting for something else. There's always a fight out there. And, what we've got to keep doing is, every weekend making sure that we're putting our best foot forward as we've done.
Hi, Ange. Just finally on St Johnstone, your experience as a manager, do you find it that towards the end of the season, teams that are down the bottom, tend to be harder to play against when they are fighting for their lives?
Look, as I've said, we go into every game thinking that the opposition are going to be at their best. Now, whether they are or not, we don't go in there thinking that they're going to be more desperate in this game than they may be in the following week. Because once you prepare yourself, or you think about things in that manner, that means that our focus shifts. So at this stage of the year, every game has got an edge on it, irrespective who you're playing against, whether they're fighting for relegation, fighting for a European spot, fighting for the top half, or fighting for a championship. All these things at the end of the year are real, and they add an edge to every game. And we've known that now for the last, sort of couple of months, and that's why, for us, it's been really important that through this time we prepare ourselves the best we can. And the reason we've been that consistent is that we don't go into any game thinking that maybe the opposition might be a bit off today because of X reason. St Johnstone, they've got a fantastic manager. They had a great year last year. They've struggled a bit this year, but now, we know how difficult they are. We had a difficult game against them at Hampden in the Cup, so we're preparing for them to be at their best. But what we know is that if we're at our best, that we're hard to stop.
Hi, Ange. Georgios 𝙤𝙤𝙚𝙤 yesterday said he stands by his comments that he made earlier in the season about Celtic being the best team. Is that the kind of confidence that you encourage in your players?
I don't, I don't sort of tell people what to think. The one thing we always say to our players is that, or I say to them anyway, is that, you speak from the heart, you speak what you feel is the truth in your own mind. And, it's not about just saying things, that might please or upset other people. It's just, if you're asked the question, just be as honest as possible. That's what I try and do, and that's what I encourage the players to do. And whatever they feel, they should say. I don't think there's any harm in that. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I know people sort of get carried away and think that, by saying that, by Georgios or anyone else saying that he feels like, we're a good team, that, people are going to use that as motivation against us. Well, if that's what people need to get up against us, then I think they're missing the key of what we're about.
How do you keep the players focused just one game at a time, especially being so close to the end with just the 6 games left?
Yeah, as I said, if kind of I had to worry about those things right now, we wouldn't be in this position, because, as people are more aware, and I keep sort of repeating myself, is that after round 6, we knew we had to be perfect. If we were worried about consequences of games or looking too far ahead, we would have tripped ourselves up well before now. Our focus has been on playing every game on its merits, trying to win every game of football, knowing there's 3 points on the line, or it's a cup competition for us to continue. And once we get that done, then we move on to the next one, and that'll continue to happen, till the end of the season. And once we get to the end of the season, then we're done and dusted. Where we end up is where we end up.
Hi, Ange. How's the mood around the place been this week? Has there been an extra spring in the step given what happened last weekend?
No, it's been pretty normal. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm not a great barometer of moods or mood swings, mate. I kind of keep to myself. So, you know, maybe they're partying in there. I don't know. You know, maybe they've got disco balls and they're dancing around. Unlikely, I'd say. But I think, as I keep saying, you know, what I look at is how we train, how we present ourselves every day as a group of men. And when I see them out there, I haven't seen any change whatsoever from the way we prepared for the last game. We've prepared exactly the same way for this game.
Just a quick one on the future of 𝙘𝙤𝙣𝙚𝙚. The last couple of weeks he's been getting some minutes in for the B team. Considering his contract's up at the end of the season, do you still think he's a part to play in the first team between now and the end of the season?
Look, I mean, that depends. I mean, you know, with Cads and a few of the guys, luckily with Cads we can get him some game time in the B team. Johnny Kenny's another one but they're training with us every day. But as I said, training's super competitive. You know, we've got 26, 27 players who all want to be not just part of the first team, but want to be part of the squad on the weekend. And we've got some fantastic players who are missing out on the squad. You know, Stephen Welsh has been outstanding for us this year, and unfortunately we can't fit him into the squad at the moment because of the balance. But that's how competitive it is. So whether it's, you know, 𝙘𝙤𝙣𝙚𝙚 or anyone else in this group, their only sort of way of thinking that they can go with is to just be ready. You know, train hard every day and be ready. And I don't know whether he'll be involved. Like I don't know about any players. What we do is when we approach every game is I try and select a team and a squad that I think will get the job done for us every week. We do that, then we analyse it, and then we do the same thing the following week. And all the players every day are in front of me and have an opportunity to show the best they can be, and then it's up to me to make those decisions. So, you know, as I said with Cads, he's training with us every day. Like I said, it's great he can play with the B team. They've got some good games coming up, you know, tomorrow and then Tuesday. Johnny Kenny, similar boat. So with that game time, it gives them another opportunity to be ready if the opportunity arises.
And Celtic released the interview today with 𝙘𝙤𝙣𝙚𝙚, and in that it was full of praise of how you approached the management position when it was open in the summer. I do have to ask the question that's kind of came out in one of the big quotes was, you said you'd walk 500 miles to manage Celtic, given the Proclaimers song. If you had to choose a song to sum up the season so far, have you got one for us, Ange?
No, mate, and to be fair, I did just say it. I didn't sing it, so I'm not sure. So just people are fully aware. No, not really, mate. I'm not. You know, the creative side of my brain is not the strongest, particularly at this time of the year. So, but you know, I've been very fortunate since I've got this role. You know, as I keep saying, I've just felt totally supported from day one, and it's been really important for me anyway to do what I need to do, because when you know, as people are aware, I came in by myself, and that can feel fairly isolating if you don't get support straight away. And I've been really fortunate. The fans have been unbelievable towards me, the staff here, the players, but that includes the management, the board, 𝙘𝙤𝙣𝙚. You know, 𝙘𝙤𝙣𝙚 rang me after we lost against Hearts on the first day, and he said, Ange, you know, I can see what you're trying to do. He said, all I'll say is your first assessment will come at the end of the year, you know. Nothing will happen before then. You just keep doing what you're doing. So, you know, I don't need people to tell me that, but I can't do what I do without support, you know. And you know, with Michael Nicholson and people like Chris Mackay and others in management right behind me, the board right behind me. I know he mentioned Peter Lawwell, and he's been really supportive since I've got here. So, you know, I think part of the reason that I've been able to do what I do is I felt really supported by everyone involved in the club from day one. And I know that, you know, externally that didn't always look the case because of who I was, and people weren't aware of who I was, and it may have felt like, you know, I was unsteady in those early times, but at no point did I think, you know, people are trying to second guess me here. I mean, it wouldn't have worked the way I wanted to if that happened. I mean, I'm pretty good at making my views pretty clear to people I'm with, but you still need that support. And you know, the support I've had this year from everybody, like I said, from fans to players, staff, management, board, has been outstanding. And you know, I sit here today on the foundation of the fact that the people were prepared to back me right from the start.
Listen, Ange, we were all very concerned, I think, by the incidents which marred the game on Sunday, including an injury to a member of staff and objects being thrown onto the pitch. There have been incidents at other clubs in Scotland and in England this season, and of course, the home side themselves refused a pundit a press pass on the grounds that they didn't feel they could guarantee safety earlier in the season. Was there a point during the proceedings where you thought this is getting a little bit hairy? And would you have endorsed taking players off the field or players walking off the field had the situation deteriorated further?
Look, from my perspective, whenever those kind of things have happened, and during my career, that I've been involved in times where things have got out of hand. As I said after the game, it was disappointing what happened with both our member of staff and the glass on the pitch, because as I said, apart from that, I thought the atmosphere was unbelievable. Our 700 were making noise, their crowd was making noise. It was a great atmosphere and it was spoilt. But we also have a responsibility on the field to be understanding and measured in our approach of how we deal with these things. We can't, as players and people, participants in the event, be as emotional as everyone else is in those circumstances. And, from my perspective, when those things happen, I put the responsibility on the people in charge, the authorities, to deal with them as quickly as possible, expediently as possible, with due safety of everyone involved. So I'm not going to get involved because it's not my area, and that's where people get it wrong, I think, when people who aren't involved. As I said, I have a pretty clear responsibility with my football club, and I take that seriously. So if something comes across my desk that I'm responsible for, I'll make sure it's addressed. If it's something that's outside my control, my role then is to make sure that those people address it in the right way. And I think the game of the weekend, it was addressed as quickly as we possibly could. It was dealt with. We got on with the game, and hopefully now the authorities will deal with the people who were the culprits.
Ange, of course, you'll know that Bodø Glimt beat Roma last night 2-1 at home and now have a foot in the Conference League semi-finals. They're a club with a fraction of Celtic's operating budget, but they are clearly doing something very, very right. What can we learn from that? And does their success story give you the confidence that we can replicate that sort of form when we play in Europe next season?
Yeah, look, I don't think that's where our ambitions lay. They've done extremely well, as you said, and I don't buy into this, budget stuff too much. I've charted my whole career on, being able to achieve things without necessarily having all the resources you need, and I don't think that's always the answer for everything. It certainly helps you in many cases, but our ambitions lie beyond what other clubs are doing. I've got no interest in it, to be honest. I don't really care. What I want to see is us be the best we can be. And we got markers of things we've done in the past as a football club. That's your reference point, not any other club. We don't have to be anyone else. We don't have to follow anyone else. We don't have to compare ourselves to anyone else. We are who we are. We've got, like I said, historical references of how good we can be and the impact we can make domestically and in Europe. That should always chart our course forward.